Sai Charita, Chapter 8, The Greatness of Human Birth, Baba's Medicancy, Bai's Devotion, Tatya and Mahal Sapati sleeping in the masjid. In this chapter, The Greatness of Human Birth, the description of Sai's medicancy, Bai's service to the saint, the marvels of feeding Baba. In the same way, Tatya, Baba and Mahal Sapati, how did the three sleep in the masjid? How Baba visited Kushal Chand's house at Rahata are the incidents beautifully described. Half of human life is spent in sleep. Every day the sun rises and sets. Thus the year rolls on. To be born and to grow strong in body, to breathe and to have a prolonged life is not the usefulness of the life of this life. The goal of human life should be to reach God. Otherwise, what is the difference between humans and animals such as dog or pig or others? The dog too eats and survives and procreates abundantly. Then what is the greatness of human beings? Both lead a similar life. To eat and be merry, copulate, if these are the only ways of using human body and the goal of life, then the human life is meaningless. If the whole life is spent eating, sleeping, being constantly afraid and indulging in sex, then what would be the difference between human beings and animals? Then the life of a tree would not be less valuable. Even the bellows breath of dogs maintain their body. Man is independent, uh, being free. He is without fear and eternal. If this awareness is present, then it can be said that life is successfully fulfilled. From where do from where do I come? Whom who am I and what is the purpose of human life? The one who realizes it is wise. The wick of the lamp is the same at the beginning and in the end, but when it flickers, it changes every moment. The similar is the state of the human body. Although it is short lived, but it is only through this that the adobe of purity of God can be reached. One cannot get salvation in another birth. Consider this human body as your servant. Do not pamper it. Life is like zigzag lightning. The way one has performed his deeds, he will get the body accordingly. God was happy after the creation of human beings. He thought, now this man by means of sense discretion and non-attachment would worship him, and then became eternal, remove ignorance and reach the stage of pure self-realization, reciting Ram Nam regularly. Do not waste even a small moment of your human birth. Just as the salty water of the sea changes into clouds and then turns sweet as nectar. Similarly, the happiness is being at the feet of the Guru. Faith on the Guru is always rewarded. The simple action of the saints free the souls who are tied to this world and are a source of extreme pleasure. So is the great Saint Sai Mahant. He lived like a fakir and engrossed in self-realization. For him, rich and poor were alike. Blessed are those at whose doorstep Baba was a mendicant, would spread his hand calling, "Oh girl, bring me a quarter of the bakri." Taking tamril in one hand and the joli in the other, Baba regularly used to go beg alms in 5 houses. Vegetable curry, milk, buttermilk were all poured into the tamril, and the cooked rice and bakri he would spread his joli. He was content with eating the food and then fell in his jolly. He would go for alms whenever he felt like. Whatever he brought, he kept in a pot in the masjid. Even the dogs and the crows would eat from it. He would never drive them away. The women who swept the masjid and the front courtyard would take 10 or 12 bakris from the pot, but nobody took objection. In the beginning, Sai was famous as the mad fakir. In the village, in that village, they were fortunate people who were kind enough to regard him as a saint. Tatya Koti's mother, Bayojabai, would put some bakris in a basket and carry it on her head and go into woods in the afternoon searching for Sai. After finding him, she would bow down at his feet with dry or curried vegetables, and the bakri she fed Baba with her hands. He Austere devotion was never forgotten by Baba throughout his life. He blessed her son with good fortune. Sai was the only god for the mother and son. When the fakir would be busy in the meditation, then Bayojabai would lay out a leaf, serve the food, and force Baba to eat. Later, Baba left the wood and began to stay in the masjid. Thus, it was the end of Bayojabai's trouble of searching and feeding Baba. Both mother and son continuously served Baba. Tatya Kote was much fortune. Mahal Sarpati was profound religious merit. He was privileged to be in the company of Baba. Tatya, Mahal Sarpati and Baba would sleep together in the masjid. East, west and north, their heads in these direction, the feet touching each other's in the center. They used to chat. If one began to doze off, the other kept him awake. If Tatya began snoring, Baba would get up suddenly, turn him around, and press his head. Taking Mahal Sapati's help, he pressed Tatya's feet and massaged his back. In this manner, 14 years Tatya slept in masjid near Baba. Lucky were those days, memory of which remained undimmed. Whosoever has faith and devotion will experience the blessing of Sai. There was a rich merchant of Rahata named Kushal Chand, who was a great devotee of Baba. He was an equal favorite of Baba as Ganapat Patel was to be. Baba loved him very much. Sometimes by Bulakat and sometimes by Tonga, Baba would go in his company of his devotees 1.5 miles away to Rahata. The village folks would welcome him with drums and wind instruments at the boundaries of Rahata. Kushal Chand would then take Baba into the village. After serving some refreshments, they would sit and exchange nostalgic memories. The happiness could not be described. In this way, after relaxation, eating fruits and refreshments, Baba would return to Shady with his family. On one side stood Rahata and the other Nemagavun, and Shady was in the center point. Baba never moved physically except these two villages. He never saw a train, but he knew the timings of the train. Once Baba sent Sri Dikshit in the afternoon with a tonga to take Kushal Chand to Shady. Chand saw it in his dream the earlier night. Dikshit came to Shady taking him along with